meeting is being recorded.
Okay, hello everyone. We are presenting the theory of planned behaviors. I am Madison Baldridge, and Andrea is having some technical difficulties where she can present and she can, her microphone is working, but she cannot hear us. So if there are some odd pauses, that's why.
This is
So,
Rohit Kumar Sarojju.
sorry, Rohit. This is our table of contents. This is what we will be talking about today. We're going to go over the origins of the theory, key components, measurements of key constructs, strengths and weaknesses, application, references, and then our roles and responsibilities. So starting off with the origins, historical perspectives, this theory was developed by social psychologist Ajik Asjan in 1991, and there's a picture of him to your left, to predict human behavior with high accuracy in a systematic way. And so he had done some previous research on the theory of reasoned action, and he wanted to be more specific about how to predict human behavior. And he thought that the most important determinant of behavior was behavioral intention. And within this, some of the theoretical perspectives that led him to believe and develop this theory were that performance of behavior is determined by one, our ability, and two, our motivation. So our control and our intention with an action. So when we couple those things together, we have a direct effect on our behavior and how a behavior is performed. So some of the key components with theory of planned behavior is that it's comprised of three interactions. These three interactions are our attitude towards our behavior or our behavioral beliefs, the subjective norms or normative beliefs, and the perceived behavior control or control beliefs. So our behavioral beliefs are beliefs that we personally have held about performing the behavior or behavior's outcomes. The difference between this and normative beliefs or subjective norms is that subjective norms are external and it's what we dignify as important individuals. It's the opinion that they hold about an action, whether they approve or disapprove of a behavior or an action. And then perceived behavioral control is the degree to which you believe you will be successful with behavior performance. So this cute little figure on the right shows a kid saying, I can do it. And this is a control belief. This is he believes he can perform this behavior. So within this, the interaction leads to our intention. And the final variable here is our behavior. So we have our three main interactions that lead to our intention, and then the intention leads to the behavior. And so along with this differs from theory of reasoned action because the perceived behavioral control can have a direct effect on our behavior. So it will almost jump the step of the intention.
Okay, next we want to talk about the measurement of the key constructs. First, I want to start with the elicitation studies. Now, they are not a key construct, but they are very vital to a vital step in creating your collection data tools for measuring the key constructs, specifically indirect measures. They are used to identify the content questions for creating the construct measures, Cultural differences vary tremendously, so researchers must have a thorough understanding of the study population and its correlating commonly held beliefs about the research topic that they're studying. Now, direct measures and indirect measures are used together for assessing the behaviors. Direct measures are used to analyze the major constructs, of course, attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control. Generally, direct measurements are usually more strongly associated with outcomes than indirect measures. They are measured using bipolar scales, which are illustrated in our visual. So that would be between strongly support and strongly oppose. That's the bottom illustration. So that shows the opposites of the verbatim support and oppose. And then we also use unipolar scales, which is the top part of the illustration, and it is the same verbiage, support and support. So one end of the spectrum would be strongly support, and the other end of the unipolar scale would be do not support. Now, demonstrating these associations must be done prior to analyzing the indirect measurements. The scales are scored using either 5 or 7 points and the -3 to +3 points, whereas scoring is tabulated accordingly. So for each construct measured, the score, which would either be on the 5 to 7 point scale, ranging 1 to 7, or the 1 to 5 point scale, ranging 1 to 5, is multiplied by the relevant evaluation score, which is the -3 to +3 scale. Now, the resulting products are summed to create the overall construct score. When we use this method, a positive score will indicate an individual is in favor of the behavior. And then when we have a negative score when tabulating, this will indicate that the individual is against the behavior. Applications of the theory include a couple of different ones that I found very intriguing. One of the applications of the theory of planned behavior that I found included a study that focused on hypertension, which evaluated 500 participants from April of 2016 through August of 2017. The participants' eligibility criterion was based on a 1-year history of diagnosed hypertension. Data collection was based on general demographic questions, self-care behavior questions, and of course the construct questions involving attitude towards the behavior, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control, all leading to behavioral intentions. Researchers involved in this study determined that the perceived behavioral control was the key determinant of self-care behaviors. One of the most notable important findings for this indicated that the study was the knowledge gained from the female participants. So all of the females questioned indicated that they had low perceived behavioral control. Now, this is important. Poorman and colleagues, the researchers, asserted that this finding is most likely due to the role of women in Iranian culture. Women are mostly stay-at-home moms and stay-at-home wives and have many home life expectations and responsibilities that are prioritized over personal lifestyle choices or self-care behaviors. This has led to a deeper understanding of the need to create public health interventions that promote empowerment, especially among women. Another key characteristic that researchers noted was the susceptibility of the younger population of participants to subjective norms. The scientists acknowledged that one main weakness of the particular study was the sample size, which did not include hypertensive patients who also had suffered from comorbid conditions. The comorbid conditions we think about related to hypertension are renal complications, renal decline, and also cardiac complications. Logically, they conclude that experiencing these life-altering medical conditions can alter self-care behaviors that the absence of such conditions would not alter. And then on to the next slide, one of the other studies that I found that was very interesting was the theory of using the theory of planned behavior was entitled Reducing Children's Exposure to Passive Smoking in Rural Communities in Bangladesh, an application of the theory of planned behavior. Now, this study surveyed 410 participants from July through October of 2018. Like the previous study, data collection involved the patient study participant demographic questions, smoking status, self-reported exposure, and key constructs, of course, attitude, perceived behavioral control, and subjective norm leading to the intention. Exposure to passive smoke in this study was measured as exposure to another person's tobacco smoke in the household for a minimum of 15 minutes daily for more than 1 day every week in the past 30 days. Particularly, the study analyzed the exposure to children from the adult's perspective or the adult self-reporting. The resulting data concluded that gender, education level, employment, and household income showed a significant difference with reducing exposure to passive smoke. Now, specifically, low-income households experienced the highest levels of exposure to passive smoke, as did the agricultural and employment sector. Now, additionally, there was high positivity for intentions to reduce exposure for all constructs. Interestingly, there was a specific question related to smoking in the home that indicated negative intention. So, of course, that translates to people don't want to be told what to do in their own home. So that was an interesting key of one of the study. Some of the limitations that the researchers acknowledge for this study include the self-reporting nature with regard to diminished memory, as well as focusing mainly on household exposure as opposed to exposure in common communal areas such as restaurants and public transportation areas.
Hi everyone, this is Rohit Kumar Saroju. I'm gonna talk about strengths and weaknesses about theory of planned behavior. When it comes to strengths, this method helps to predict if you'll do something by understanding your thoughts, what others think, and how easy you think is it to do. And the second one is flexibility. It is a flexible used as a flexible tool that can be used in different fields such as environmental sciences, marketing, and health psychology. And the third one would be incorporation of control beliefs. And this model adds up the concept of behavior control, which is how easy or difficult someone perceives it to perform an action. And when it comes to weaknesses, the first one would be it might be not accurately predicted their behavior because it relies on rational decision making. Instead, habits and emotions play a bigger role in guiding actions in such situations. And also, it forgets big things like society, culture, and environmental, even though it tries to consider what others think. The third one would be it predicts if you try something new, it may not capture how you stick with its long term as it misses habits, self control, and outside influences. And the last one, the theory of planned behavior relies on self reported attitudes, norms, and control risks, biases due to self deception and social pressure. And the next slide. These are the APA 7 formatted references. Yeah.
And this is our responsibilities breakdown. So I was in charge of the overall design of this presentation, and I also was in charge of the origins of the theory and the key components of this theory. Andrea was responsible for the measurements of the key constructs and the applications as presented. And Rohit,
I'm responsible for the strengths, weaknesses of the theory, reference page, and written APA formatting.
yes. So thank you for listening to our presentation, and we hope that you enjoyed and learned something.
Thank you.
Okay, how do I end my?